So should we talk a little bit about Peep now, and then where we see Peep going?
Yeah.
So we all have obviously our individual roles. Correct me if I'm wrong. We have Cliff Sainsbury, who's kind of CEO, CFO, CEE, all the C's. I mean, the head honcho, and you're producing, directing, and all the technical side.
Yes,
is where you are. Scott, you're coming as kind of business development.
Yeah,
host, creation, development, that type of thing. I
would say so. Yeah.
And then for myself is kind of creation, development, and what would you say, on camera? I don't want to say present. There's got to be another term than just presenter and.
Just talent, James.
I'm the talent. Yeah, I'm the talent. Yeah, I'm the talent. I can't
host,
think,
isn't it?
I can't think
host as well.
Host, yeah. So Brad, what was that? Because I'm a big fan of Complex, as we both are.
Yes.
And Noah. He's like Chief Development Officer. I love that word. CDO. So we'll all have to see something. So we're all together in a group, and myself and Cliff then. So myself and Scott have had one show together. Just to quickly summarise where our relationship, my relationships with you two are, with both of you gentlemen is Scott. We've met.
Yeah.
It's the third time we've been together now, and we've had a show. We've learnt a lot. I personally just think we've learnt a lot off that show. Not just working together, but ideas that we bounced off each other, and obviously with Cliff as well. So I think that Peep Live 12 will be the best show yet, because we have this kind of. This understanding of where we need to be, and it's been a learning process for both of us. But I think it's been a very short learning process as far as ourselves together, because it's one show, and I think we've learned 10 shows worth of information. And
that's because it felt like 10 shows.
Yeah, because it felt like 10 shows. It literally did feel like 10 shows. Not the longest show ever though, but not far off it.
It was close.
It was just under. And to be fair, I mean, to say that I've received a message from my good friend and coach Baz Jones saying, that he really enjoys the show and he finds it very relaxing to listen to. I'm not sure if he meant he finds it relaxing to listen when he goes to bed on a night, and particularly that show. Yeah. But I was going to say, I mean, the second longest show, the longest show, of which that was second to, was a show with, I think one of my very closest friends, Chris Reed. Yeah. Who's one of my closest I've known for a number of years.
That was the first show I watched.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, with obviously myself and Chris equally, and Cliff, making sure everything worked as it should. Just the fact that it could be a long show, but the first time we'd met, do you see where I'm going with this? Even though we didn't know it, we could still have a show where we weren't just slogging at the reins. Even though towards the end it became quite tiresome. And then with Cliff, I mean, we've got a bit of a history together, maybe 3 years now, where we've met. We've worked on a number of fight shows together. We've travelled places. We've been there until early hours of the morning, picking up, walking through broken glass to get the cameras over. And obviously we've got 12 shows together now, so we've established a pretty a good relationship, I would think. You were there at my last fight, my world title fight, my retirement, and something that stuck out in my mind, which people may take for granted, but in actual fact it's quite a rare thing, that I had to have some stitches, a few stitches in, and then that you took the time to come over and make sure that I was all right, which I really appreciated. So so we've all got this working relationship together, and for me personally, I mean, with Peep, it's something that it's something I really enjoy. As I've said from the start, it's something that I really enjoy doing. I think the potential is limitless. It's a YouTube channel with 2,000 subscribers. Now you can look at that in two ways. I mean, Complex has several million, not tens of, but several. I think
between 2 and 3. I think.
Yeah. You have what's it called? The gadget when they open the
Unbox Therapy.
Thank you, Unbox Therapy, which I'd put you onto. They have about 12 million subscribers. But then I was blown away by PewDiePie, who actually, I mean, he did a review of Jordan Peterson's book, which I'll not go into, 12 Rules for Life, and he's obviously a switcher. He's got 69 million subscribers, possibly more now. But then you look at it, a lot of influence, isn't it? A lot of influence, a tremendous amount of influence. I mean, and then the female artist, who I'm not trying to pretend I don't know, Taylor Swift. I mean, she's probably 100 and odd million. So you look at 2,000, you think, but you know what? 2,000 is actually quite a lot of people.
No, it is.
It's actually quite a lot of people, and to have developed that amount of subscribers in a reasonably short space of time, and the subscription is only going one way, and that's up. So, I think that the short-term goal is to hit 5,000 subscribers, actually marker point 10,000 subscribers. 10 is the sweet number.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Isn't it,
it's not like I'm happy now, but I'm exceptionally happy.
There's a chap, Oliver, who does a lot of film review, and I think he's on 100,000 subscribers, but obviously he was at the point where I'm trying to remember, it will come to me, a great show, and it's all about progression, isn't it? And just putting one foot in front of the other, because YouTube's been around for what is it, nearly 15, 14 years since it's kind of, it's I suppose, want a better word, invention when it came into around about 14 years.
2006, 2005?
2005. So about 13 years, 13, 14 years. And if you're in an early, what's it called, an
early adopter?
Early adopter, yeah. That if you'd got in first, or at least within the first 2 or 3 years, your likelihood of success, if you were putting out reasonably decent content, is a much higher, because you had a lot less. It's just law of averages. You've had you had the less competition, in a sense, the more likely you are to be found and subscribed to. Whereas now, every man and his dog has a YouTube channel. There's so much content out there. How people are going to find you, and I think the way that is by putting out damn good content.
Yeah, that's
or taking your clothes off. It's one or the other. So we've opted for damn good content.
Yes. I've got to say yes to that.
The glint in your eye there was as if to say you had plans of us taking our clothes off, because that's not something I've been I've been clued in on.
I think that's a different kind of peep. Well,
that's the thing. I mean, when I do say peep, some people think we're peep show. I'm like, no, peep live.
The peep live show, not the peep show. Yeah.
Well, a peep would just be burlesque, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, that's where we're at the moment. That's what James says. Just keep on creating good content. I mean, the channel has only been going 4 years.
Yeah.
If 4 years, I mean, it started earlier than that, but there was no content on it, and it was just me doing photography and whatnot. Just really start getting into it, maybe mid 2014 with me, myself and Phil. But I mean, fairly young channel.
How often were you putting stuff out though when you started with Phil?
It's got to be twice a week.
Right. Okay.
It was quite fluent content. I was running around like all over the place really, but obviously things die down and your interests go from here there to somewhere else, especially if you've been kind of in this game for a long time. Like from university I've been doing this, I'm sure people just think I've picked up a camera and just started shooting boxing in the last 4 years, but been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. But going back to what you said when thinking about the other, other interests and stuff, and I think that's what the channel's kind of moving towards. It's kind of keeping that combat sport element, but moving forward to the three, like to different interests from what all three of us have, and all can bring in one.
Absolutely. I think that's key. I mean, there may have been an idea from your perspective that I wouldn't want to change anything off the combat. It had to be about combat. But to be quite honest, not that you thought that, but there may have some idea of that, and perhaps maybe you thought there would be some resistance from Cliff. But my interests go a lot deeper than combat. And I think it's the point I'm leading to is I think it's the best thing ever for the channel is not to just focus purely on combat. And the other thing when we do combat, certainly from my perspective and my intention is because one of the first things I've ever seen on mixed martial arts, and I'm not being disrespectful, but I'd heard a commentary from a show, whichever well, I know the name of the mixed martial arts show. I don't necessarily need to mention it. And it was just very, very strong accents and very talking about snap in people's bones and snap, crackle, pop. And I was instantly just put off by it,
Yeah.
And then I turned on the UFC and it was like, American accent, intelligent kind of, commentary. And straight away I'm like, yeah, I'll watch this because that's what I want to see. And I'd like to think that Peep is kind of, even on some of the shows we've covered that, have been a bit more kind of a bit rustic, shall we say.
Yeah.
We've always tried to bring that professional edge to it, and certainly from Cliff's camera work and I think, coverage of the shows and the production values and what we've tried to add as a team is try to market it at a higher intent and level, but bring in the lifestyle, let's say, aspect. I think it's a tremendous. But I mean, but we don't want to as far as I'm aware, over diversify and try and throw everything into the mix. But have that kind of just widen our net, but make it a damn good looking and strong net.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. It's like there's crossovers that everyone's interested in and into. So it's kind of like, well, actually, if 3 people are into that or 2 people are into that or whatever, then there's going to be X amount of people who are watching the channel will also be into that as well, whatever that may be. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
But I also think that it's always Peep has always been like a masculine brand.
Yeah,
channel.
no, absolutely has. Yeah,
even from the early issue 1, it's always been like, dare I say, androcentric.
When you say masculine, do you mean actually as in masculine and feminine, or men, as in like the gender?
Well, it's as a gender, it's always been focused around men's attitudes. But strange enough, a lot of women got in touch. Issue 1, which I found strange, but it's always been headlined for men's attitudes, and like with saying masculine, it's just a strong like masculine ethos, brand, style, content. It's like,
which would appeal to women because obviously they would also have a masculine element, perhaps with the feminine in them wants to still connect with the masculine, rather than wiping out the masculine, which is kind of I don't want to get go off key, but the idea to bring down the male and the masculine, but actually women in fact, or certainly a selection of women want to see the masculine, and therefore perhaps it would be it would attract their attention, like a positive masculinity.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things. I was just thinking. I think what that can be misconstrued slightly though as well, because I think when you're talking about, say, when you talk about masculine attitudes, that could be taken as a stereotype that, especially since the origins of the YouTube channel have been combat sports, that isn't. It's a connotation in there that isn't what Peep's about as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of...
No, I agree.
You know what I mean?
When I say masculine, I don't so much mean masculine attitudes, more like of the masculine and feminine, that we all have a certain amount of masculinity and femininity within us, but appealing more to the masculine side of both men and women, rather than attitudes, but the connotation of what
I was just kind of... When Cliff was saying that, I was just like, that there's a connotation there that could be taken completely the wrong way, which I was a bit. But that's different.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting. But I think we can expand to so many different areas, and rather than it just being perceived as combat and etc. And again, the masculine and feminine, you talk about the UFC, but the female fighters are as popular as the male fighters now. And it's kind of wrapping it all into one. Although YouTube is predominantly a male-dominated format, that's what the studies and figures actually show. I don't have them in front of me, but it certainly does. But I think that we appeal to, the nature of all, men and women. And I think that's how we're going to be successful.
Yeah. I think what I was trying to get across, I think also from an aesthetic point of view as well.
That's exactly the word.
A stylistic point of view as well. It's I've always had the mindset that it's been very masculine. It's a very masculine brand.
That's a great way to put it. You see, I was struggling for the word because attitude was a wrong word, but aesthetic.
Absolutely.
I like that. That's it. Because the red and black in itself is an aggressive color. That's how it's. That's what it is. But I don't know. Positive, aggressive. something that you can connect to in a positive manner.
Yeah, I mean, it's always gonna diversify, and it's always gonna, you know, dip your toe in here, dip your toe in there. I think that's what we've been doing the last 6, 7, 8 years, but it hasn't been active like every day of the week for those 6, 7, 8 years, you know. But as of now, where we are sitting at this table in the Peep Towers, this is where it is at the moment, and it's diversifying all over the place. But it can do that, you know, because we can kind of do what we want within reason.
Yeah. It's a very empowering statement you just made there, actually.
Yeah.
That was one of the original things we came up with. The ethos is really of the magazine back.
We can do what we want, not offending anybody. But
I think we should offend people.
Oh.
Well, no, I think if you're offended, and I mean that in a positive sense.
Yeah.
If you know, I would, if you don't ever want to be offended, then just stay in your bed and don't move.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, because we might learn something. I want to be offended, not negatively offended with insidious intention, but to offend me by teaching me something new. You know, because if we're going to struggle, I mean, we can maybe not offend 10 people, but how we're not going to offend 2,000, how we're not going to offend 10,000, what if it's 100,000? So, and I mean that in a positive sense.
Yeah, no, there's always going to be one person who disagrees with whatever the commentary is, and then how do they take that disagreement, and how far do they take that? Are they going to be offended because they disagree? Which is where...
Well, I think we're going to struggle to have
everybody...
Exactly.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah.
I mean, you can't please you can't please everyone.
It's basically, I think, it goes back to what we originally did. It was like, if we like it, we'll like it, and if people don't, tough. Don't read it, don't view it, don't watch it.
Well, you've got the option to watch it or not, but we're not going out with the intention of offending people, but offence will be taken because it might be a case somebody thought it was going to be one thing, it's another, it offends them initially, but then they actually grow to like, you know, I want to read about this, I want to see this, and, you know, it offended me because you included a section on boxing. Well, you know, you can switch off and not watch it, or watch it and learn something, appreciate something, you know? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the channel at the moment maybe does look the way it looks, but the people who are just looking at on the face value of how it looks at the moment, they've got it totally wrong, I think.
Can we talk a little bit on that subject about
2 seconds, James?
Yeah.
In fact, you can just keep talking, James, because I'll still have your voice in.
Yeah, no worries. Can we talk a little bit then about, we're talking about, because we were offended recently, for good or for bad.
It's come back to haunt us.
It has. No, we're going to talk a little bit about, and we're not here to blacklist anybody, but you know, we were denied access to a local museum just with a pretext of that it was a combat channel. No, we'll talk, because you can edit it, so let's talk about it, and you can use it or not, because, you know, you were offended by it for good reason, because at the end of the day, Peep, you're emotionally attached to Peep. It's your young child now. It's not a baby anymore. It's a young child, toddler. I was not necessarily offended, could understand where they were coming from, but believe that we could get through and find a way to connect. So my point is that the preconceived idea of Peep is combat channel, Peep is people hitting, you know, other, you know, men in the face or people in the face or whatever. It's about violence. It's promoting that, and it's nothing to do with that. It's promoting the art and science of the sport, amongst many other things. However, you know, we were denied access into a museum just because of the preconceived and preconceptions of what the channel was and who we were, because they went on to the channel and watched some of the videos. Yeah. So here's the thing, and this is what I'm saying
I don't think they watched the videos.
They
saw the thumbnails of the videos.
They watched. Good point. They watched the thumbnails of the videos.
But you don't know, do you?
And perhaps give and if they did watch them, well, that adds to the viewers. So thank you for that. And I'm sure they didn't subscribe. No, that's a good point. Maybe they just looked at the thumbnails and had an idea. But you know, here's the thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the man with the hand on the button, so to speak. So I assume, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, that what we're not going to do is now take down every single combat video that somebody might find offensive. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
That's correct.
So therefore, we are going to offend people, and we're not going to shy away from it. We're not going to do it with bad intention. But if it happens, it happens. You have a choice not to. So from their point of view, they have the choice not to let us into the museum. But do you want to commentate a little bit about on that? Because I'm not going to badmouth a museum, whichever one it was. We don't have to mention which one it was, and I'll certainly be going back. A little bit on that, Cliff, if you want to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean. We've had a lot of talks about this, and yes, of course, I was offended originally, but never angry. I rarely get angry about, people who don't like my content or our content or things that I personally do. If people don't like it, you don't have to watch it. You unsubscribe. Please don't watch it. But I'd hope people do subscribe and appreciate all the hard work that we put into this. But my point is, like me and Scott said, we feel it was a little short-sightedness, and that's probably the most eloquent way I can say it.
That's an elegant way of saying it.
But just short-sightedness. If you look through that channel, you'll see all the work that I've personally put into this channel, chatting with people, and the work that other people have put in as well. Yourself. Scott's just come on the scene, but it's groundwork from years ago that Scott made some building blocks to build Peep where it is now. People like Mark Clausel, Phil Lindsay, all the other people I've worked with, it's all their little bits that they've helped build this channel along the way. I'm not saying it's a massive channel and the best thing ever to come out the Northeast, but it will be. Eventually,
you can take that to the bank.
But the thing is, what more can I say? I was shocked because they gave the go ahead until they seen the content. So I can't really. What else can I say to that?
Yeah, procedures were wrong. That's what the issue is really. Their procedures were wrong because if they said no originally, then there's no originally, or we'll have to view the channel or whatever. Yeah,
they said yes and they said no.
But I would pick up on that point. It's interesting because it was short-sightedness. But then again, I respect that. It's my personal opinion on it, as I respect their decision. That's my view on it. But I would also say that when you use the term short-sightedness, I think it was, and there's two things I want to factor into that. Number one, that the coverage, that we could have gave them, and the quality and professionalism we would have brought to the content would have. I'm not saying they would have got another 10,000 visitors that month, but you never know. But you know what? It'd have been great promotion for them, and it would have done nothing but shone, I suppose, a positive and professional light on what's going on in the museum. And just side on to that was not a few months ago we visited Barter Books. And I'm bringing Barter Books up because it's known as one of the world's greatest second-hand bookstores. And we went in as Peep. I'd phoned the day before, I think a few days before. I spoke to a few of the people there. We got there, and the owner of it was initially going to tour us, but he was busy. So we had one of the directors. What was the gentleman's name? A lovely chap.
Was it Kevin?
I think I had Jonathan or something, or like quite a it was David. And he's a chap in his maybe mid-50s, 60s, a really kind of elegant gentleman who took us on a tour for 2.5, 3 hours, and was more than happy to have us in the doors of this kind of I don't want to say upper class, but kind of traditional, what would you say, just traditional, maybe middle class, I don't know, although everybody's welcome. Just the smell of coffee and cookies and iconic books and antique books, and they welcomed us in with open arms. And lastly, one of the staff there subscribes to the channel, subscribes to the Instagram, and puts positive comments and loved the fact that we're in there.
I think what I was going to say actually was that the audience that Peep has is an audience that they would not have targeted. So it may not have, as you say, it wouldn't have taken necessarily thousands of people through the door, but surely if you take 10 people through the door, and 2 of those people keep on returning to your museum, therefore it's a positive impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think they're not hitting our target audience. They're not hitting themselves with their own marketing strategies.
But the thing is as well, I know we're into a debate about this, but the end of the day, it's culture. It's things that have happened in Newcastle, in the northeast. You know, a lot of people put the time and effort and money and all the rest of it, pain, hardship. You know yourself, James, all the stuff you put through to get in that ring. And I was slightly offended because people just look at that on face value and say, no. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's the only bit I was a bit, I wouldn't say upset. I wasn't upset, but I was just a bit like, oh, did you not see this bit? Did you not see that bit? Did you not? Just, you know, stop looking at it there. You need to be looking at it there and there and there and have a look through. But it is what it is. I mean, I hate saying that word, but
I think
it is what it is.
From their point of view, I think they would have seen the content and they would have been scared. And it comes back to offence. They would have been scared in case someone saw that with some kids, then saw the rest of Peep's content, and then complained to them that would let these blah blah blahs in who've got all this combat and it's all violence. Why did you let these people come in video? And they were scared about the negative publicity that could have generated.
Remind me what's in the museum other than, you know, prehistoric animals and sharks.
Just the lovely Romans. I mean,
so there was no,
like, they were nice guys, weren't they? But yeah.
They were good at building roads.
That's my so there was
absolutely no violence.
That's my point. Anyway, so where are we now and where we're going? Where we're going now? What's next?
Well, as we digressed a bit there, but I think it was a good point, James. I'm kind of glad you brought it up because I mean I was never going to bring it up and Scott wasn't. But cheers. Where is it now at this moment in time? We've got massive plans, have we not?
We have, yes.
We've got big plans. We've got a brand new magazine coming out this month, end of this month, which we've discussed on the live show. We've got the live show happening 28th of this month.
Yep, I'm excited.
Which James will be hosting yet again, and Scott by side there. But
we've had a good little chat about it. Yeah, it's good, man. I'm excited.
I'm just trying to think about
again, just a quick mention of, you know, how we've kind of formatted it together. Yeah. Now, I think we've really ironed things out. Not to put too much pressure.
No.
On myself particularly.
28th,
yeah. But yeah, I feel like we've ironed out a lot of kinks.
Yeah, definitely.
So where we're going now is like, and I'll keep saying this, but you know, there's any businesses out there that like to contact us or interested in sponsoring the channel, because we've got a brand new playlist, Syntax,
yeah.
Which it's one of those things where it's going to be played around with for a couple of months until it finds its place, its position, and all the rest of it. But that's just people all over. It finds its place, and then that's where it is, and we build on those little building blocks. So that's it. Really, still going to keep with the boxing. I mean, there'll probably be people out there thinking, "Oh, he's off."
Combat sports.
I was going to say Peep magazine, subheading Syntax, subheading Peep out.
Yeah. I just want to get this in. There'll be people out there thinking he's done with the combat sports, but you couldn't be more wrong, because we'll always be there if anyone, you know, gives us a shout out or wants we to come down the gym, we'll do it.
Shout out Jewel, shout out the manor.
Yeah. So that's where it is. But there's a world out there, and you know, it needs to be documented. There's a lot of interesting people out there, artists and all the rest of it, and photographers that I want to scope on.
Locations,
ideas,
events,
ideologies, all the rest of it. There's loads of stuff that we want to cover. If anyone else wants to come in now, they can. Yeah,
no, and you know, books to review, you know, art houses to see, keep saying it, I'm going to say it till the day I die. Tyneside Theatre, Tynemouth Theatre. Is it Tynemouth? Tyneside Theatre. Do you want to do that?
Do you want to say that again?
Tyneside Theatre.
It's not Tyneside Cinema.
Tyneside Cinema. Okay, again, Tyneside Cinema, which I'd like all three of us to go and check that one out.
Yeah, I mean,
check it.
I mean, this is my good point to ask maybe James. How do you feel, James, about being part of the team and being on board?
Yeah, absolutely love it. You know, I mean, it's something I've always had enjoyment with. You know, television and media in a sense. Not that I've trained in it. You know, other than GCSE and A-level drama, that's about as far as I got.
That's all you need, man.
That's all you need. Well, that qualifies me. I don't need, you know, who needs these, you know, Royal Shakespeare Theatre kind of education. But, you know, with camera and things like that, I have had a certain amount of affinity with it through being interviewed in the past in radio and things like that. So you know, it's something that I enjoy, which is why predominantly why I'm doing it. You know, I want to see Peep and to Cliff do well. That's a driving force. You know, for me to do anything now, you know, I need to have a care and consideration for the person doing it. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. You know, and you know, in the past, I've done things. Well, it's like when I've worked with the sports sense I mentioned, and that was, you know, sales manager and development manager, and you know, it was, you know, you paid to do that, and it's great, and you've got the car, etc., and all that when that was going on. So it was lucrative, but the reason I did it is because I genuinely cared about the person, Martin Webster, who was running the show. Yeah. And that's why I went out and just, you know, I don't clock in 9 till 5. I'm going to go do the job until it's done, type of thing. And that's, so I've got to care about it, and you know, I've got to have a caring why. Yeah. And I certainly do care about Peep. So it's something that I enjoy doing. It's something that, you know, I have a reasonable amount of talent to do. Yeah. I care about Cliff and about Peep being successful. I enjoy the fact that I can contribute. You know, when I mentioned about barter books, Cliff was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I'm generating ideas. I can't always follow through on ideas, unfortunately, due to time constraints. But you know, it's something where I can present ideas that I have, and we'll discuss it, and we'll move, and then, you know, if we both agree that it's worth doing, we'll move forward with it. And I like the fact that, you know, the world is our oyster. As you said, there's a lot out there. You know, I've talked about, I'd love to go and spend a month just filming the local beaches of the Northeast and give a little bit of the history and, you know, a bit of the personalities, people around it, and you know, there's so much content out there. And then, you know, meeting up with yourself, Scott, as I've said, you're a good person to work with. I think that, you know, we click quite well, and you know, and I think you've got a very good manner about you, very professional and kind of you know, relaxed professional manner, and I like that. Relaxed is the wrong word. I'm trying to, you know, but something like that. So yeah, I just see people going from strength to strength. It's you know, it's a good thing all round. It links into what I'm doing, you know, professionally away from Peep. And let's just have fun and enjoy ourselves and do a good job, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask Scott the same question.
Yep.
What was the question again?
How do you feel being back involved with Peep, and where do you see it going? And are you enthusiastic, Scott? Because we need
his enthusiasm. Absolutely.
Nah. No, absolutely. I think it's I'm enjoying actually getting back and doing the writing for the magazine side massively. It's like, why haven't I done this for X amount of years, whatever that may be. So doing all that kind of stuff's fantastic. Enjoying sort of doing the film and stuff and pushing myself in that direction. I think where the directions that we're going to take it in, I think there's something there that I'll start that again. Where we want to take it, I can see. I think there's a little niche there that can be expanded upon, and I think really developed. And I think that, to me, can, as you were saying, will elevate Peep to the levels I would like it to go to. And if it doesn't elevate those levels, then we've all give it a damn good shot of getting there. But I'm sure it will.
Yeah, definitely. I've got faith. Please subscribe. Anyone out there? We need to get to this. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers now, so hit that subscribe button. And I want to say also thanks to James, thanks to Scott, Thanks to Mark Clausell, Phil Lindsay, Joanne Archer and Linda Archer for making this possible. They've been a massive help. Thanks a lot. And James does his usual we out.
We out. Drop the mic. Boom.
Excellent.